Hello friends, today we will present to you the top 10 best photographers in the world and their famous works. For the modern person, photography has become something commonplace. You can grab a smartphone and take a photo of anything, even of yourself, at any moment. Nevertheless, people have not stopped turning to professionals in this field. Professionals can create high-quality photographs, come up with interesting concepts, and capture successful shots. However, there are both good and not so good specialists in this field. Some will photograph weddings until the end of their lives, while others will perpetuate their names with unique shots. Training, experience, talent, these are the three components of a true professional. Another important factor is a love for their craft. We will tell you about the best photographers in the world and their famous works. Some of them began taking pictures in their youth, while others picked up a camera in their mature years. Their names are known all over the world, and some of their photographs even recognized as works of art. Santiago Traverso, one of the most enigmatic photographers, little is known about him. However, his photographs are known all over the world. Santiago Traverso has his own style, and his works are unmistakable. He often shoots at night and uses unusual lighting for his images. Almost every one of his photographs features glimmers, stripes of light, neon, text, or patterns. Santiago Traverso is a portraitist, and his subject is often a solitary figure in a state of repose, usually in a closed space. This is how the photographer expresses himself. He too prefers solitude. About his work, Santiago says, "I am happy shooting sad things." Alfred Eisenstedt. Alfred Eisenstedt, also known as the father of photojournalism, lived a long life of 96 years, dedicating 70 years of it to photography. He worked for the famous American magazine Life. Eisenstedt's list of significant reportage photography includes many notable works. His most famous photograph is VJ Day in Times Square, which captures a young sailor running through the square, kissing any woman he could find in celebration of Japan's surrender. This iconic image became one of Eisenstedt's most recognized works. Eisenstedt was a versatile photographer who was capable of capturing any event or situation with high quality. However, he was most interested in people and their emotions and experiences. He was an excellent portraitist, having photographed many celebrities. For example, his photos of Marilyn Monroe remain some of the most widely published. Courtney Roy, winner of many international contests in the field of contemporary art and art photography, Courtney Roy regularly participates in various festivals, and her exhibitions mostly take place in France. Courtney's photographs are works of art. They are distinctly cinematic, created on the border between reality and fantasy. She makes viewers contemplate certain objects or places and look at them in a new way. Most of Courtney Roy's photos are self-portraits. She does not like to photograph people because she does not want to project her worldview onto them. She creates her own noir-style worlds. Her works are called films in one frame. The viewer has the opportunity to imagine for themselves what happened before and after. Diane Arbus. Diane is considered one of the most influential photographers of the 20th century. She became famous thanks to her unconventional shots. Arbus often used people with physical disabilities as models. Her art was unacceptable to many. Diana was nicknamed the photographer of freaks. She was accused of showing what nobody wants to see. Diane Arbus had no prejudices. She could approach anyone and make them feel comfortable with her. For example, the shocking photo of a naked man who depicts a woman, Diana took at his home. While walking in the park, she noticed a man in women's clothing, after which she met him and asked to come over. Unusual people were grateful for the photographer's attention because they were used to being ignored by everyone around them. Lisette Model. Lisette Model is the founder of the street photography genre. Her photos were not ordinary, and they had a unique style. The subjects of her frames always looked unusual and mesmerizing. Eccentric appearance, physical disability, strange pose, Model was able to capture those moments when a person's emotions were revealed. Her photos are full of emotions. The peak of her popularity was in the 1940s to 1950s. It was during this time that famous series of photos were created, such as Reflection and Running Legs. In 1951, she began teaching at the New School for Social Research. She had less and less time for her favorite activity, but Lisette Model continued to take photographs until the end of her life. Richard Avedon. Richard Avedon was a genius of portrait photography. For 20 years, he collaborated with fashion magazines, photographing models and fashionable clothes. However, his style was different from other photographers. He made live shots, capturing models who were not static, but walking, talking, smiling, and having fun. Richard Avedon created the most successful advertising campaigns for the Dior fashion house and introduced Twiggy to the world. His interests were not limited to the fashion industry, as he photographed celebrities and ordinary people alike. His portraits were minimalist, allowing viewers to see the inner world of each person without being distracted by unnecessary details. Irving Penn, one of the most famous photographers in the genres of portrait and still life photography. For a long time, he collaborated with Vogue and excelled in haute couture photography. Irving Penn didn't just take photos, he created masterpieces. Even cosmetics advertising became a discovery of new horizons in still life photography. He created many unique techniques that are still used today. Of course, it was not photos of jars and tubes that brought real fame to Irving. His calling card was phenomenal portraits and unusual still life compositions. He was not afraid to show people and objects from an unattractive side. His photos are a combination of perfection and provocation. Vladimir Bogdanov, a classic of street photography and one of the first Soviet photographers to work in this direction. He worked for Komsomolskaya Pravda, Literaturnaya Gazeta and other publications. Vladimir Bogdanov captured the simple ordinary life. Many of his photographs are unpretentious, but attract attention precisely because of their everydayness. Bogdanov also photographed celebrities. The most iconic people of that era stood before his lens: Vysotsky, Okudzava, Ranevskaya, and others. It is also worth noting his series of photos dedicated to dogs. He photographed them so often that it was possible to assemble a whole album. And his photo "Not My Dog's Business," taken during sports competitions, became legendary. Sebastião Salgado. Sebastião Salgado is a photojournalist who works in the genre of social documentary photography. Most of his shots are taken in third world countries. His photos are mesmerizing, even though they often depict pain and suffering. Sebastião has been in the midst of many armed conflicts, was a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador. He witnessed the suffering of people and forever immortalized these feelings in his photos. In search of interesting shots, Sebastião visited 120 countries. Salgado is a talented person, and he did not limit himself to social reportages. Among his photos, many are dedicated to wildlife. He captured beautiful landscapes, places where human foot has never stepped or, on the contrary, where nothing was left after human activity. Ken Van Sickle. Ken Van Sickle's career started promisingly. Exhibitions, universal recognition, soon luck turned away from him. Sickle established himself as a director of documentary films and commercials, but continued to take photographs. Ken's works were not appreciated as they deserved, but his name can often be seen in rankings of the best photographers. His photographs are enveloped in romanticism. It's a journey through different cities in different time periods. Sickle gave viewers the opportunity to feel the atmosphere of Paris in the 1950s, New York in the 1970s, and so on. His photographs were characterized as playful. Ken loved to photograph happiness, people passionate about their work, feelings and emotions. He knew how to find beauty in ordinary everyday things.